Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about this absolutely incredible journey, one that every single one of us has taken, but we can barely remember a thing about. We're diving into the astonishing stages of child development.
I mean, think about it. Going from a single cell to a whole, complex person, it feels kind of like magic, but it actually follows this really fascinating, predictable path. So, how does it all happen? Let's trace that journey, starting right at the very beginning.
So, our story actually starts before we even take our first breath. This is the prenatal period, and it's the ultimate foundation. This is where the entire blueprint for a person is laid down. This stage covers that whole time, from the moment of conception all the way to birth, and it is a period of just breathtakingly fast change. In fact, it's the fastest we will ever grow in our entire lives. What's so incredible about this stage is just how much is decided so early. I mean, our entire genetic makeup, our sex, that's all fixed from the moment of conception. But it's also a time of huge vulnerability. Things like a mother's stress or her nutrition can have a lifelong impact. It's really shaping our future before we're even born. Okay, so once a baby is born, the next chapter kicks off immediately. This is infancy, and it's a time of just explosive growth, where this tiny, seemingly helpless newborn starts transforming into a little toddling person. We're talking about the time from birth to around age 3. And this is where all those foundations from the prenatal period start getting built on and at a really dizzying speed. And the pace of change here is just wow. A neonate, in their first 2 weeks is pretty much just sleeping all day. But just 6 months later, their brain has developed enough to tell the difference between familiar faces and strangers. That's an incredible leap, and it shows you just how fast the brain is wiring itself up for social connection. All right, the journey keeps going into early childhood, which is really all about one thing: exploration. This is when toddlers and preschoolers start getting a real sense of independence and begin to engage with the world all around them. So from age 3 to 6, kids basically become little scientists, right? They're constantly testing the physical limits of their own bodies and trying to figure out the social rules of the world around them. Physically, there's a really surprising fact about this stage. Even though the rate of growth actually slows down a bit, by the time they hit age 6, children weigh, well, you might want to brace yourself for this one. That's right, 7 times their birth weight. It's a staggering increase, and it just goes to show how much development is really bubbling up right under the surface. So the key thing here is that all that energy is now being channeled into mastering movement. This is the age of running and jumping and climbing. Their muscles are getting stronger. They're gaining incredible control over their bodies. And yep, this is also when the tooth fairy starts making house calls. Socially, this is sometimes called the pre-gang age. I know, it's a bit of an old-fashioned term, but it really highlights a key shift. Kids are moving from just playing next to each other to learning the really complex dance of cooperating and interacting with their friends.
And it's not just physical. Intellectually, their imagination and creativity just explode. They start to think symbolically, their memory gets sharper, and they begin exploring their world with this brand new sense of independence. Their emotions? They're huge and intense for sure, but they usually pass just as quickly. From here, the world starts to get a whole lot bigger. We're moving into later childhood, which is this huge transition where a kid's universe expands from just the home out into the wider social world of school and friends. So, welcome to the elementary school stage. It's also kind of cheekily known as the troublesome stage, not because they're actually causing trouble, but because this is when their own personalities, their own opinions, and sense of self really start to harden, which can definitely be a challenge for parents. Physically, growth slows down to a really steady pace now. It's not about getting bigger as fast as possible anymore. It's all about refinement. Their bones harden, their motor skills get way better, and this allows them to really excel at things like sports or other complex physical activities. And cognitively, this is a massive leap forward. Their brains are now capable of much more logical and organized thought. This is exactly why school curriculums start introducing more complex subjects like math and science around this age. Their minds are totally primed and ready for it. And here's that massive social shift we were talking about. The classroom and the playground, that becomes their new universe. It's the gang age, where the rules of friendship and social groups are learned not from parents, but from each other. This is where they really figure out how to navigate the complex social world on their own. Emotionally, their focus shifts outward. So instead of being totally consumed by the frustration of, say, not getting a toy, they're way more interested now in the shared joy of winning a game with their team or sharing a secret with their best friend. So when you just step back and look at the whole picture, it's just this absolutely transformative journey, isn't it? From a completely dependent infant to a complex, social, thinking individual.
We've gone from that prenatal foundation right through the super fast growth of infancy, into the exploration of early childhood, and finally into the social world of later childhood. You can see how each stage just perfectly builds on the last one. These first 12 years laid the physical, emotional, and social groundwork for an entire life. And that really leaves us with a fascinating question to think about. Is there one part of this incredible journey that you think matters more than all the rest?